Hello and welcome back to another episode of In Defense of a Movie Podcast. On this episode, we are traveling back to the year 10,000 BC. This movie is written and, co-written and directed by Roland Emmerich, the original master of disaster, responsible for, in no particular order, the guy behind Independence Day 1 and 2, Godzilla, Stargate, Universal Soldier, White House Down, 2012, Day After Tomorrow, The Patriot. His movies have grossed over $3 billion in the box office. This movie is at 8% on Rotten Tomatoes. The critics say 8%. The audience says 37%. A bit of a disconnect there. And it's pretty easy to tell why when you watch this film, Aaron.
Yeah.
So let's dive right in. This was distributed by Warner Brothers. Budget of $105 million. Box office $269.8 million. So it did great at the box office, but was critically dragged through the mud.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is, Aaron?
Oh, because people seem to know what was going on 10,000 BC. So.
Yeah. Gosh, there's a lot to talk about here. There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Aaron, why don't you tell me, let's unpack the cast and the plot.
Okay, so we got Stephen Strait playing Delay. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, I feel like I always mess it up. Camila Bella. I never know. As Evelyn, Cliff Curtis as Tick-Tick, Joe Virgil as Nakudu, and Mo Zinel as Karen. We also need Nathaniel Baring as Baku. Those
Oh, and don't forget Marco Khan as One Eye.
Oh, yeah, okay. Good old One Eye there. Oh, Old Mother. We got to give a shout out to Old Mother here. Mona Hammond, what a trooper.
Yeah, and also John Travolta as Security Chief Terrell.
What?
From Battlefield Earth.
Yeah, he might as well have been in this movie, hey?
Yeah.
There was so many similarities that I kept drawing between both movies.
Really, hey, between this and Battlefield Earth?
Yeah. Well, and also definitely the main characters too were a little bit similar, where they kind of pushed the boundaries, right?
Right, totally. Yeah. Yeah, so Roland Emmerich is no slouch at the box office. He's been entertaining our generation forever. His movies are so much fun. They've always been fun. He's the master of calamity, earth-shattering events. His movies, in terms of like critiquing and all that stuff, they're all over the map. But in terms of popcorn, entertainment value, summer box office, blockbuster, there's not many filmmakers like this dude.
No.
But this movie, Aaron, is such a departure from the rest of his catalog.
Yeah.
So what's this film about?
Okay, so this film is obviously, as the title states, takes place 10,000 BC. And yeah, it's just kind of, it's about a small tribe of people living, I guess, in the mountains kind of somewhere, right? And and they are hunter-gatherers. And they're noticing like a change in their land, and things are starting to become different. Like they hunt woolly mammoths, and they're starting to notice that less and less woolly mammoths are like coming through. And there is this old lady who they called Old Mother, and she's kind of like the seer in the village. And so one day, a girl shows up, and the Old Mother looks at her, and she gets a vision, and she sees that they're going to be attacked by or raided by a group of barbarians, I guess. And so that's kind of like where the first part of the movie takes place. And then after that, it's Dalel. As he is an adult. So that kind of all happened. Yeah, that kind of all happens when he's like a kid, and the girl that comes to the village is Evelyn, who is Delel's love interest.
Yes, she doesn't have too much going on in terms of character traits, except for being kind of the damsel in distress, unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's kind of the direction they go with this one.
Yeah. Well, not completely, because...
Not completely.
Yeah. She does become, plays an important role towards the end. So there's a lot of prophecies, I guess you could say, that are kind of thrown out in this movie. Mm-hmm. So Old Mother has some sort of prophecy, and she knows it involves Delel and Evelyn, right?
Yes.
Like she predicts it from like when they're like kids, but she doesn't say anything to them. Mm-hmm. So Delel's father, he is like the current leader of the tribe, and he leaves in order to. I actually don't really know what his dad did in like leaving. Mm-hmm. It was kind of weird
that was
because
very hard to follow. Yeah,
because they said that he left the tribe to like because things were changing. But then so Delel had to be what? You'd put him around like 9 years old maybe when his dad left?
Yeah, somewhere in there.
And then he's got to be what? In his like 23, 24, somewhere right around there when the movie skips like ahead. And so it's kind of weird because it's like, I don't know. Well, I guess his dad did do one thing, and I think that was like, as he traveled, he taught people their language so that later when Delel goes out, he can like communicate with those people.
Which is very convenient for the audience.
Yes, very convenient. And so so his father like didn't tell anyone what he was doing. He just left the village, and he was labeled as a traitor. And so since obviously Delel is his son, he looked a little bit like the bit of the outcast because people thought his father was a traitor. So then the movie picks up in the future, and I guess they're trying to capture a woolly mammoth, and so you see a glimpse of Delel's character here because they go to trap it in a net, and he gets stuck in the net, and then he ends up somehow by I guess pure luck murdering a woolly mammoth, which still is murdering a woolly mammoth in my eyes.
I was going to say, he kind of unfairly admits that he didn't, like, implicitly, kill it, but he definitely did kill it.
Yeah, like, if you had to put a percentage of him, like, running up to putting the spear or, like, kind of setting up to kill it, I don't know, it's probably like a 60-40 thing. Like, he killed it. Yeah. He definitely, like, he put the spear up in the rock and it, like, fell on it. Like, maybe you weren't the one thrusting it in there, but, like, you killed it. So that already, anyways, that's a whole tangent. That's like saying that Luke Skywalker didn't kill the Rancor in Return of the Jedi, but the door did. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's kind of dumb. Yeah. So anyways, he that all happens. He gives back the white spear, which is like who the leader of the tribe carries. And while he's sleeping, the next morning they get attacked by the barbarians. The barbarians come rolling through, obviously pillaging. They take his love interest, Evelyn, and they take a bunch of other hunters as well. Yeah. Then Delel with Tik Tik and Karen head out to go get back their friends and Evelyn. And then also Baku, who is like who's played by Nathaniel Baring. He is, what is he? He has to be like a teenager or something, right? Yeah. And he follows along and tags along. So they go on this like epic journey to like through multiple terrains.
Oh my gosh!
Eventually, they end up in Egypt, and
I'm biting my tongue so hard. It's so hard to just like jump all over this.
There's a pharaoh, and this pharaoh is building pyramids. And and so then while he travels to I feel like we can say it's Egypt.
Yes.
Ancient Egypt. He like amasses an army, I guess. Because he saved a saber-toothed tiger. So that in return allowed him to amass an army.
Which was also a prophecy to those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of prophecies going around in this movie.
Yeah.
And then where were we here? So yeah, he gets the army. Eventually they go and they attack and like basically eventually win kind of thing. Yeah. It's a wild ride.
It is a wild ride. Did you watch this before this podcast? Like before?
Oh yeah, I saw this. Yeah. I might have even seen this in the theater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, upon doing research on this and unpacking it, it seemed to me that the thing that people didn't like the most about it, I get that the story is really cliche and there's a lot of tropes. I get all that. That's not really what stood out. What stood out was people were just tearing this movie apart over its historical and geographical inaccuracies.
Yeah.
I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Like, when you watched this in the theaters, did you find yourself uncomfortable with any of the historical inaccuracy stuff? Like, did it affect you?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
I was just like, my whole opinion of watching a movie is that movie is its own world, is its own realm, and anything in that realm is possible. So whatever the events that transpire in that movie could exist, because that, like, I view that as its own world. So when I'm sitting and watching a movie, I'm not sitting and watching it on Earth. I'm pretending that I am in the movie with the people, and so it like makes like that's how I view movies, and so that makes it like more enjoyable for me, right?
It's just a fascinating time because we know so little about, and I didn't know much about it, and but then I can also thought I have to kind of take certain liberties with the story and make it a real like something where the people discover new things.
This is what really bothers me about this whole the whole aura surrounding this film. At the top of the episode, we listed Roland Emmerich's catalog. Stargate, Independence Day, Godzilla, Universal Soldier, 2012, Day After Tomorrow, The Patriot. With exception to The Patriot, do you really mean to tell me that people went into the movie theater expecting historical accuracy?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand.
From Roland Emmerich, the guy who like blew up the White House. Does this mean that Stargate's a piece of junk too? Are we supposed to say that that's not historically accurate? Like,
you know what I will accept as like historically accurate?
What?
Independence Day, and that is when America became free when they defeated the aliens. Like, I'll accept that.
Yeah, this is the thing is, I have to admit, I hadn't watched this before this podcast. And when I watched it with my wife, who is a history buff, history major, actually. And this movie had her pulling books off the bookcase and flipping through pages. And her and I, like, because I've taken a lot of, like, comparative civilization courses and things like that, and then college and stuff. So we were both having a difficult time with the premise of everything. Yeah. I'll give you an example. I was trying to figure out the geography of this film because based on the existence of the mammoths and the time that it takes place in and the geography, the terrain, I placed them somewhere in Siberia at the start of the film.
Okay.
But it would seem that they end up in like an Asiatic jungle where there's like bamboo growing like immediately after, which would place them somewhere in like, I don't know, like China or Taiwan, somewhere in that region. But then they make their way to Africa through to Egypt, to Cairo. That's like 10,000 miles.
Yeah, but that's also like 10,000 years ago, so you don't know what the terrain was like.
Well, this is what I'm saying is like, I had such a hard time with this film taking off. Like, here's the thing. I don't want to get into the weeds on this on the historical accuracy too much of this film, because it's just not the point. There's plenty of people who can do that for us. In fact, I did want to reference a YouTube video. There's a channel called Trey the Explainer, and he did a 3-part series on this movie. He called it The Accuracies and Inaccuracies of 10,000 BC. And over the course of like an hour, he pulls apart this film. So if you are bothered, or if you are interested in the inaccuracies of this film, which are many, allegedly, from what we know, I would just cite that, knock yourself out. But the last thing I want to be is an armchair historian, because first off, I'm just not. And second off, we're talking about a Roland Emmerich film, right?
Yeah.
So we have to pull back on the reins and say, okay, this is a fairy tale, or this is fantasy, or this is just sci-fi. There is nothing at the top of the film that says based on a true story. Therefore, I don't understand why. Isn't it okay? I'm kind of rambling a bit, but isn't it interesting that like we have such an easy time accepting movies that are set in the future, but as soon as they're set in the past, all of a sudden everyone puts on their like history glasses and says, well, actually those chili peppers didn't come from there, or like, or oh, that corn didn't exist, or or the metal work, and it's like I don't like, is that really what's is that really the point, Yeah.
Do you want to know what my theory is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, in reading about this movie and doing the research, I came across where Roland Emmerich actually drew some inspiration from, and it's a book called Fingerprints of the God, which is written by a guy named Graham Hancock. For any of those people out there who listen to Joe Rogan podcast, like I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so this guy basically writes a book, I believe it was in 1994, and basically predicting that there was an ancient civilization that existed before like anything that we know. Basically gets laughed at, gets made fun of, gets called pseudoscience. Flash forward like, I don't know, maybe about 10 or 12 years. And a lot of like science has came out supporting a lot of like whatever things that he like theorized in 1994. Anyways, long story short, I'm not gonna I could go into a rabbit hole in this whole situation here, or in this whole scenario. But basically, mainstream academia just ridiculed him. And I think that's, since he kind of took elements from that, like this goes against everything in history. The fact that there was saying there's a civilization that existed 10,000 BC that was like advanced goes against everything like mainstream academia like stands for. And so I kind of feel like since this movie came out, people just didn't care whether it was for entertainment or what it was. From how it's been explained to me, it seems that the truth is more leaning towards that there was an actual, some sort of actual civilization that did exist, and people are refusing to accept that. And so this movie is kind of going in that direction of like there was a civilization. And so again, they don't want people to believe it, and so they kind of just shit all over it.
Nobody really knows much about this time. There's the fascination with animals of the time, which in the meantime it's extinct. But for me, it was not enough to do like a story only about animals. I wanted to kind of do something more than that. And when I found this theory of the lost civilization, I said that's it. I was like really happy about that, because that like kind of created like a great human story.
I think
there's a lot of...
that's my theory. I'll admit it's a little conspiracy crackpot theory, but that's what I think. I think that's why people really hated on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of confirmation bias that goes into these kind of discussions too, where people already have their beliefs about the past and history and you know, the neat thing about history is it's always changing based on what we excavate and uncover, and history books are always being rewritten, and so, but it's interesting because when I sat down to watch this, I didn't know really anything about it. At the top of the film, you think, okay, they need to deal with the problem of there being no mammoths. And then all of a sudden, oh my goodness, these bad guys came and took some of their villagers. So, you know, some of their tribes people. And so now they have to rescue them. And I was like, okay, cool. Fast forward like an hour and suddenly Atlanteans are building the pyramids.
They actually they threw
that was a real trip.
A reference to Atlantis in there too. Did you see on the map?
They did. But there was also a throwaway line too that somebody says about how they came from the sea, or how their land was destroyed or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean it's easy to tell based on the movies that he's done alone. You can tell that Roland Emmerich is very much interested in like pseudoscience and fringe science and aliens and all this kind of stuff. Which is cool. I'm glad that there's a filmmaker out there that's dabbling in that kind of stuff, because not many are, and it's fun. It's really, really fun stuff. So kudos to him for bringing something so divisive to the screen, because this movie, Aaron, this was originally going to be a Sony vehicle, but they kicked it off of their release schedule, and so Warner Brothers snapped it up. It seemed like a bit of a black sheep.
It did.
So I don't think anyone felt super confident with this, which is interesting because, as the box office numbers will tell you, it more than doubled its budget.
Yeah, it did really well.
Yeah.
Is this the first movie that we have that has like done really well, but it has also been rated this poorly?
I think so. I mean, it's profitable. No one really talks about it anymore. I truthfully couldn't remember a thing about it when we talked about doing it for the podcast. I was thinking, I remember something about a saber-tooth tiger. That was it. So yeah, this is such an interesting movie, and I feel like it came from a pretty personal curiosity from Roland Emmerich. Now, is this the first like on-screen depiction of the idea of like ancient civilization, like that kind of pseudoscience-y kind of stuff?
I think so, unless it's I would say it's the first one that has been this successful.
Yeah, like outside of the realm of like total fantasy, you know.
Yeah. You know what this movie is? This movie is about fighting capitalism. And then the reason why this movie didn't do well is because of capitalism.
Oh, interesting. How do you mean?
Well, because of going back to my theory, if it is mainstream academia that's like kind of, you know, being like, hey, this isn't historically accurate, this movie sucks. Like, I don't know. I like, apart from the historical inaccuracies, I was like, hey, it was like a good movie to me.
Yeah, based solely on the box office take alone.
Yeah.
I have to assume that historical accuracy doesn't matter that much to the common person.
Yeah.
I went into a pretty deep rabbit hole over some of that because I was curious. I was curious. I started reading a lot of articles and watching a lot of videos about historical accuracy in movies. And one of the videos, I should cite it. I apologize for not citing this video, but one of the videos was comparing the year that Lincoln came out, the same year as Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter.
I love that movie.
I do too. I actually legitimately enjoy that film. And it was discussing how one was very obviously fiction and the other was technically, quote unquote, trying to be based on a true story. It also talked about the JFK movie. And it talked about the importance of historical accuracy in movies solely because it can change public opinion on certain events. Because it's unfortunate, but it is a true fact that a lot of people don't look past film in terms of the information about certain topics.
Yeah.
If someone's not studying topics, if someone's not getting the education formally through school or whatever, if someone's not reading books and atlases, whatever, they're going to see something on screen and kind of automatically assume that that's true, and give it a ton of weight.
I don't know. I feel like that's not giving people much credit.
I don't think so either. I really don't. But that was the argument it set forth.
That sounds like some mainstream academia guy trying to brainwash us.
I don't know, man. It's all I can really say is that it's such a sticky area.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, really being sort of blown away by Braveheart.
Okay.
Seeing Mel Gibson play William Wallace. My dad's side of the family had, up until recently, doing a DNA test, one of those ancestry kits my uncle did. It was alleged that our family had like Scottish roots, and so we were all very taken with this idea of like William Wallace and all that stuff. And the movie was just wow. But then it wasn't until I got a bit older and started taking actual like college level history classes that I realized that Braveheart as a movie, historically speaking, is so wrong.
Yeah.
They weren't even wearing kilts at that point. That's how wrong it was.
Okay.
So, that being said, did it change? It's funny. Here's the thing, is once I learned about the historical inaccuracies of the film, I enjoyed it less from there on out.
Okay. But that movie is completely different, though, because, like, that's pulling real-life characters, right? Like, William Wallace was an actual guy. The events that happened, like, were some shape or form actually happened.
Right.
And so that, I guess, that's taking history and twisting it.
So that's the argument that these critics are using in 10,000 BC. Mm-hmm. They're giving it the same amount of weight. They're weighing something as historically relevant as like a specific person. Yeah. They're weighing it against this entire time period and saying, that's not right. That's not right. That would never do that. That would never do that.
Yeah, which I just think is stupid. Like, you can't.
I don't think so. And no, with all due respect to Roland Emmerich, I just feel like they should know better, man. Yeah. This guy is all about the summer blockbuster. Like, turn your brain off, go in, sit down, and be entertained.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the backdrop. Now let's talk about the actual film, I suppose, in terms of its qualities.
I don't know. I like one thing right off the top of my head was beautiful like pan scenes of landscape and whatnot, like very similar to the shots in like Lord of the Rings from Peter Jackson.
Yes, which is because they shot in some of it in New Zealand.
Okay, that makes sense. That
is a fair comparison.
Watching this movie, and there is a bit of like narration that goes on throughout this movie. I just thought it was so calming.
It reminded me of like a film that would be on in the background while you're at a museum looking at exhibits, and it's just like some TV in the corner.
Yeah.
It reminded me of when I went to visit the Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump in Alberta, and there were all sorts of different dramatized videos playing, showing the hunters and doing their thing. Yeah. And I swear it was like the opening 20 minutes of this film. Yeah. In terms of quality, right? In terms of quality and thematics. I don't mean historically. I mean in terms of quality. So, here's something that really jumped out at me. Here's my thought. If the stakes of your movie is to save the tribe, we as the audience have to like love the tribe. But this movie for me didn't do that off the top, but it's especially strange since Roland Emmerich, he front loads all of his like successful films with very clear, strong, sometimes token character establishment, likable people in intense situations. Before things start going kaboom, you always establish all the characters and you care about them. And typically his movies are wide in scope, so they jump from here, they jump to there, continent, like he doesn't usually just focus on like one tiny group of people.
Yeah.
Usually he focuses on 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie could not be more of a departure from that.
Yeah. Well, he does go all over the place, though.
Yes, but it's within the confines of the same core group of people.
Okay.
See, because I kind of went into it feeling like I could make like a Roland Emmerich like bingo sheet, you know what I mean, where I could just like check the list of things I expected from this film.
Yeah.
But I would have been so wrong, I think.
Yeah.
I honestly think that he read that book and was really excited by it.
Yeah.
And wanted to somehow get that on the big screen. But even when I look at the cast, if you look at his other movies and the people that he's cast, I just feel like this movie scared away a lot of people.
I actually read some... Did you happen to read why he chose to cast, like, unknowns?
No, I didn't, actually.
Oh, okay, sorry. It's on their Wikipedia page. It says, Emmerich decided that casting well-known actors would distract from the realistic feel of a prehistoric setting. So that's why he chose to go with unknowns.
The thing that distracted me from the prehistoric setting was all the metalwork and ironwork and the...
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the way that I justify it in my head is that the pyramids, right? Like they, like to this day, it's still unsolvable. Like people don't know how they built them, and the general consensus is that it was slave labor, right? And that's how they built them. But like they could have had metal tools. Like the pyramids are massive. Like how did they make those?
Well, I don't know. Like I've heard 2 different theories of thought. One is that yes, it was slave labor, and the other one was that it was actually just skilled workers that were like honoring the pharaoh, and that the workers lived really well.
Yeah.
But the thing is that like we have some archaeological evidence, but no one really knows. No one definitively knows. We're just kind of like revising as we go. So it's
the thing is metal will degrade. Like they could have had metal. It could have been buried and like it could have just like decomposed. Because that's like metal will return to the earth, but stones are what lasts forever, like monoliths, right?
Right.
And so that's why we still have all these like ancient monoliths like Stonehenge, pyramids, all those types of places, right? So like that's what I'm saying is like you don't know that there wasn't metal at 10,000 BC.
That is true. Well, that is true. I mean,
I'm always just gonna take the side of that there is like that we don't know, because like I just feel like history is such a large part and we're such a small part of it. And
we're such a blip.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're just a blip, and we don't know what happened. Like all we can do is uncover things, dig things up, and make educated guesses.
Right. I think in order for someone to truly enjoy this film, they have to take off their historian glasses. And they have to give some leniency to the geography for sure, because I was very confused. Again, I don't know what it is, but all these movies we're reviewing are so lax on expressing the passage of time, Aaron. I have no idea how long the journey was and how in a lot of movies, they have these tricks of expressing the passage of time, whether it be people's hair, facial hair growing, or, day and night cycles, or someone will just flat out say, oh, we've been traveling for 30 days, or, there's all sorts of movie tricks to convey to the audience how long our heroes have been on the road.
Yeah.
But it seems like in all of these lesser reviewed movies, it's really difficult to tell just how far and how long they've been out for. So that, to me, was probably my biggest struggle with this film, was just coming to grips with the geography and seeing things that I didn't think should be there, and really stepping outside of the armchair historian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But once you do that, let's talk about what it does have to offer.
So overall, I would say positive message of a man who like loves this woman and goes in an epic journey to find her.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty standard storytelling.
Yeah.
I noticed a lot of similarities between this and everything from like 300. I kept thinking of there's the scene near the end when he confronts the I guess the pharaoh of Egypt.
Okay, yeah.
It reminded me of the confrontation with Xerxes in 300.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, when he throws the spear.
He is not a god!
Yeah, there's this movie trope. It's not used very often, but you'll see it a bit. Is where the alleged god king bleeds, and then everyone knows that he's not actually this revered god king. He's actually just a man.
The bat is dead. Bury it. Consider this mercy. Tell me. Do you bleed? You will.
It's, now that I say it, I actually can recall like a lot of instances of it happening. It reminded me a lot also of the biblical story of Moses.
Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah, hey? Yeah. And that was kind of interesting to me because I saw the parallel that they were kind of drawing. And I think, Aaron, I think I wanted them to get stranger. I think that was my thing with this film. Is I wanted them to go further. Like, you got people from Atlantis, let's go further. Like, let's see what Atlantean technology is like. You got people who are supposed to be gods, let's go further. Let's see what's going on with those guys. You got this bad guy with a pitch-corrected voice, let's go further with him.
You know what? That would have been true. That would have been true Roland Emmerich if they did that.
Yeah, I couldn't help but think of Stargate the entire time I watched this because Stargate is such a great film. It is such a great adventure film with an amazing soundtrack. And I kept drawing parallels to this because there's a lot of similarities of the, the bad guys with the pitch-corrected voices and the Egyptology that's fantasized. But I wanted them to get stranger. I was like, I feel like if they got stranger, people would have been able to take off their cynic glasses and relax a little bit and breathe and be like, okay, I get it now,
One thing I found interesting, the language that they created for this movie, like it's not an actual language.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And I was looking into it. And so I guess they made some sort of dialect that was supposed to sound similar to some, I think, African tribe of some sort. But yeah, like they're the whole time that everyone else is speaking when they're not speaking in English, it's a made-up language that they did specifically for this movie.
Okay, I have a question. Did your copy of the film, the digital copy, did it have subtitles when like the bad guys were talking?
No,
when the Atlanteans were talking?
It did not.
Okay, because I was so lost.
Yeah.
I was like, am I supposed to know what they're saying? And I was like, I don't know if it really matters, to be honest. But I was thinking, shoot, was there something wrong with
I don't think that you were ever supposed to know what they were saying.
That's so weird because there are 2 or 3 minute scenes that happen where it's just them having conversations.
Yeah.
Where you do not know what they're saying.
Well, I guess that's probably why they had his dad go out and teach other people the language.
Yeah, it's a very bold choice because when we talked about Battlefield Earth, I was saying how rad it would be if the cyclos were subtitled instead. And in this one, they go the extra step where they don't even give you subtitles. They're just like, you just have to wait it out and see where it goes.
Yeah. Okay, so this brings me to my like WTF moment of the movie.
Go for it.
And I think you probably have the same one, but when they pull the bald guy out of the floorboards and he stops, and he, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, oh my gosh, that voice.
Yeah, and so I remember being however old I was when this movie came out, and being in the theater, like sitting with my sisters, and this comes on, and like everyone else in the theater is like pretty serious, and then it's just me and my sisters like bursting out laughing as like loud as we possibly can. But it's so funny.
He sounded like Eddie Redmayne's character in Jupiter Ascending. He's just like,
okay. So this also brings me to my next thing. I thought we could do something fun, and okay, I'm gonna talk like the guy, and you're gonna interpret for all our listeners. Okay?
Oh no. Okay.
Okay. Are you guys?
Wait. Oh man, let me get ready. Okay.
Okay.
He says that they came from across the water and that their land sunk. He says that they built pyramids using mammoths. And that the stones weigh 2.5 tons each.
Okay, I don't know how long I can
Oh my gosh. You do it so well.
I just like what
a weird choice.
Watching this movie again, I just bursted out laughing. I have so many questions about this guy. So he was a former slave of the gods. He ran away, and I guess the other slaves found him, and they were like, "Okay, we'll like keep you, but you gotta lay on this like wooden plank in a hole in the floor, and like we'll bring you out every once in a while." Like, does he like? I have so many questions about that guy.
So he's blind, but he ran away.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
He's blind. He's ran away, and he lives in a floor. But he knows. I don't know. He didn't even really seem like he knew much about them.
Yeah, and something tells me they may have forgotten about him once they got freed. I'm really concerned about his well-being after that.
Oh,
film.
me too.
Yeah. Like, are we forgetting somebody? No, I don't think so.
We should probably talk about his love interest, Evelyn. There is some sort of prophecy that I guess surrounds her as well, and that she was gonna, or like, I guess the only thing that can take down the gods was by someone who bears the mark of a hunter. Is that what it is?
Yes.
And that's the constellation. I guess on her hand, she has a scar of like the constellation of the stars. And for some reason, the gods are freaked out by that.
Yes, they're freaked. Yeah. And even in my mind, as we're talking about this, I'm holding back on the historical inaccuracy side. I'm doing it on purpose. If you're listening right now and we're not going to talk about it. We're just not going to talk about it. You're going to have to be frustrated that we're not going to mention it. And Evelyn looks like she's cosplaying as Evelyn. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the blue eyes, but something about her. She looks like she should be at like a Comic-Con or something.
Yeah, it's the hair.
I think it's the hair. Yeah, it's very modern looking hair.
Yeah, she just doesn't look like she belongs in like a nomadic tribe at 10,000 BC.
Yeah, those eyebrows, man, and the
she looks like someone that you'd run into like some organic supermarket or something.
So let's talk about some specific things that we do like about this film.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like we're doing a pretty decent job. Like, I'm having a tough time with this one for sure. I'll admit that. But like, I think we're doing a pretty decent job of defending a lot of the stuff that people take umbrage with. But I do want to talk about some very specific things that we do like.
Yeah.
The first thing I want to talk about is the saber-tooth tiger. Specifically when it's in the pit. With the delay and it's all wet and it's coming out of the water.
Yeah.
This is 2008. This was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And that looks really, really good for the time.
I thought so.
Yeah, like the fur simulation on it, and even the fur on the mammoth, it looks so good still.
And isn't it like apparently really hard to like CGI wet fur?
Oh yeah, it's insane. Yeah,
Okay.
I can't even imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The saber-tooth kind of doesn't look as good in the day shots when it's in the village there, but in the pit, holy smokes! You got the nighttime lighting, you got all this water splashing around. Even the sound design on it, because the sound design comes from like they mixed like lions and tigers and ligers and came up with some really unique vocalizations.
Yeah.
That whole sequence to me is. If you watch that, it's hard to believe that was in 2008.
Yeah, it's a heck of a scene.
Yeah, it looks so good, and I love how he kind of bonds with it, and he's just like, "You better not kill me." What does he say? "You better not eat me, or you better not kill me," or something.
Yeah.
Do not eat me when I set you free.
Because he decides it's a really cool character moment. He could have killed the tiger.
Yeah.
The Siberian tiger, saber-tooth tiger, sorry, saber-tooth tiger. But he decides to free it instead.
Let me ask you this thing, because I've been noticing this this trend in movies, and it's where the main character, like, they can't have him look bad, if that makes sense. And so, like, when he fights the woolly mammoths, you notice that, he didn't kill it, right? And
I see what you're saying.
And then when it comes to the tiger, rather than kill it, like rather than the prophecy be of a man who killed it, it's someone who saves it or talks to it, but like it's just kind of like a weird meta thing that I've realized that like writers will do in movies is where they won't like give this like the main character a badass edge or anything like that. Like they got to be likable.
Oh, yeah, he is kind of a pacifist for the most part. Until the end. That's interesting.
But then what also doesn't make sense to me is as soon as it comes to murdering like people and humans, it's like there's no rules or restrictions against it.
Well, it's probably because he grew up getting his ass kicked by his fellow tribesmen because like his dad left or something. Maybe he's got some anger issues, but he just super loves animals.
Yeah.
That is interesting.
To me, this was an underdog story. Dalal was left by his dad, made fun of by his tribesmen. Yeah. Never really believed in himself, and essentially rose up to take down the gods. And I'm a sucker for an underdog story. I always will be. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. This movie does a lot of things well in terms of story, in terms of epic. I'm always suspicious of a movie that self-proclaims itself as an epic, especially if it's under 2 hours in running time. Because how much can you really say in that short amount of time? This movie reminded me a lot of what they tried to do in Jupiter Ascending, where they just bloated it with lore and with funky ideas, and it just got too big for the running time and ultimately kind of collapsed in a little bit on itself. This, not as much as Jupiter. We'll probably get to Jupiter, I'm sure, at some point in time. But here's one of the things I really want to say about this movie. It might sound counterculture, but not every movie has to be spectacular.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes a movie is just good.
Yeah.
But not amazing.
Yeah.
I think we've lost touch with that in our mob mentality modern society. Now, I'm not going to use this argument at any other time really moving forward with these episodes, but I thought it was really fitting for this one because of the kind of reviews I was reading. Even professional, high standing reviewers were using words like unbearable.
Yeah.
And using words like atrocious.
Yeah.
Awful. Absolutely horrendous. And I was looking at that 8% thinking, that is probably one of the most unfair ratings I've seen so far on this journey. Too. Aaron, when did we reach this point where a movie either has to be extraordinary or complete trash?
I have no idea. That's the thing, is it drives me insane. Like I said, this movie is its own universe, and whatever goes on can exist.
Man, it's such an...
Movies are like meant to kind of push the boundaries of what's real and what's not real.
Yeah.
I always think of the instance of like the flip phone and how apparently it was inspired by the communicators on Star Trek, right?
Right.
And movies like almost kind of innovate by showing us things that like could be but aren't actually.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what I love about a movie, is that it takes me out of like my like realm, like my earth, and puts me in this other place where there's a guy who saves a saber-tooth tiger, or and it's just awesome to me. Like, that is a movie. And I find now everybody wants there to be like crazy things like that, but also are somewhat believable that they could exist.
Right. Having gone through so many of these movies, and the more I read these reviews and immerse myself in this whole culture of movie review culture, what I'm realizing is that more and more, either a movie has to be absolutely flawless and spectacular, 100% yay, or it is or is literally like complete trash.
Yeah.
And for some reason, there is no room for just okay movies anymore.
Yeah. Which is kind of sad, because you don't get to see like fun movies.
No, because now there's no more risk taking, which is this movie was a total risk.
Yeah.
There's no, it's either a Disney movie or something owned by Disney, or it just doesn't happen. I've been really closely following the release of Stuber, that new comedy with Kumail Nanjiani.
Okay, yeah.
Shoot, why can't I think of his name right now?
Dave Bautista.
Yeah. And they were talking about this. I was reading online how people were proposing that a movie like Stuber shouldn't cost the same as a movie like Avengers Endgame. Movie theaters are trying to combat this separation by thinking about doing different tiers of pricing depending on the optics of the film. So if they think it's going to be this huge summer event, they're going to price it at $15 or $18 or $20 a ticket. But if it's like, like a comedy, and they're going to price it lower. So they're talking about trying to fix this cultural thing that we've done to the box office, where it's like, if it's not perfect, no one's going to even go see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These are interesting times, man, for movies. Like, holy smokes. I really feel like there's an audience out there for 10,000 BC, especially now with the resurgence of this ancient culture stuff.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan's been very instrumental, I think, in bringing out a lot of this knowledge to like mainstream, because his podcast is so huge that I think so many people are hearing this stuff for the first time.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's an audience out there for this film if you can be patient and relax and park your history knowledge just for like 2 hours,
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Do you think that a lot of the hating on movies for historical accuracy, do you think a lot of that's just like ego?
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know. For me, it would all come down to depending on who the person is reviewing it, right? Like, is it a like history buff reviewing it? Then yeah, I'd probably say ego.
Because there's some investigations that, like, what's that YouTube series? Is it History Buffs? Is that the channel that goes through movies?
Oh, I'm not sure.
I like theirs because they're done kind of they're done sort of impartially. Like, they explore the history without correlating that with the overall quality of the film. They kind of like letter grade the historical accuracy of films just on basic just on general curiosity more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not setting out to demolish a film. It's just more informative.
Yeah.
That sort of thing to me has great value because there's a lot of people that need to be informed that, you know, if a movie doesn't explain something properly that's important historically, the average person needs to know.
Yeah.
But Aaron, this movie, man, it's sci-fi. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I feel like the average person should know that they shouldn't be getting their history knowledge from movies.
I've been surprised before with this kind of thing,
Like-
though. I don't...
Like, if you are watching a movie and that's, like, where you get your information from, like, you need to give your head a shake.
Well, I think that if you went into the theater expecting historical accuracy from Roland Emmerich... you'd
Yeah,
give your
that
head a
too.
shake,
Yeah,
for sure.
that too.
That's just bonkers
Yeah.
to me. Yeah, I mean, especially if you look at his upcoming film slate, you know, with this movie that's coming up soon, that's announced about an asteroid hitting the moon and sending it out of orbit towards Earth. I
Yeah.
can't wait to see what
You know what? With what you just said there, I think I'm always going to defend Roland Emmerich because this is a guy who is outside of the box in like everything that he does and creates. You know, it's just something different. If you want to watch a movie that is like different from normal movies that you watch, like this is definitely up your alley. Then
I liked that he took a crack at. I really liked actually that he took a crack at explaining how maybe they would have positioned those stones on the actual pyramids with the ramps and the mammoths. Because now I don't know how well those mammoths would have done in the heat, but I do know that they have uncovered ramps, and ramps is an ongoing theory as to how they got those stones in place. So I did like that. I thought that was really interesting to see that on film, to see that stone yard where all that was some really cool imagery. Like oh, and that shot of the boats on the Nile.
yeah,
That looked so good.
it did.
Yeah, that shot where they did the wide shot where you see the sails. Gosh, that was gorgeous.
Yeah. It was a beautiful movie. Even when they get to Egypt too, like all the CGI and everything that goes on there, it's not bad.
Yeah, I will always be on board ancient Egypt films. One of my guilty pleasure movies is The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser one, because I love when they show like the Egypt in its prime stuff. Now that with all this technology, I want more movies of Egypt in its prime. That you know what I mean?
Next movie you got to watch is Gods of Egypt.
Oh man, well, Egyptian culture is so fascinating.
So fascinating.
Just incredible. And the more you learn about it, the more your mind's blown.
Yeah.
Everything from their political systems to their you know, their science and just everything is so fascinating. So, you know, whenever a movie goes to ancient Egypt, I'll always be on board to see what they do with it for sure.
Yeah.
So, Aaron, do you have any other notes about things you liked and stuff?
No, I think we covered it all.
What did you think of the birds? Did you like the birds, like the killer, like
Yeah, I
raptor
did.
birds?
You know, I was gonna say this, that he almost like kills that bird in the same way he kills the mammoth.
Oh yeah.
I think maybe he just like held on to the spear a little bit longer on this one, but. You know, if you're going to count that as a kill, why wouldn't you count the mammoth as well?
Yeah.
Also, Old Mother. We got to talk about Old Mother.
Yeah.
She was the MVP of this movie. Just like chugging along, keeping herself alive so she could eventually sacrifice herself for Evelyn. She had it rough.
Yeah, and she had this deep connection to the earth and everything. She was so revered, you know. There was like some neat mysticism happening there, but yeah, she seemed almost like the last of her kind, hey? Like she was like the last of the oracles or something. It was really interesting.
It was. Oh, we should talk about the alternate ending.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
So there is, for those of you who watch the baby, look up on YouTube 10,000 BC alternate ending. And basically what it is Baku telling the story of what just transpired. But he's like way older. Like he's in his, like 90s, 100 years old? I don't know. Somewhere right around there. He's like the new old mother, basically. And so he tells the story, and the way he said, I think the last line of it, he says, "But now they all return to sand," which I thought was awesome because it's like, hey, maybe that stuff could have existed, but now it has turned like to sand.
Yeah, you kind of realize that he's been the narrator.
Yeah.
I liked how they showed the Sphinx with the lion head, because that's the theory that it was originally a lion, but then the Egyptians came along and carved it, repurposed it into the head of one of their pharaohs. So I thought that was really rad.
That too, and I don't know if you noticed at the top of one of the pyramids where there was like the gold or whatever kind of mini pyramid on top, and that fell off, because I think there is something with one of the pyramids in Egypt where like the top portion of it has been replaced too.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, so it's like they got like lots of little tidbit kind of Easter egg type stuff in there.
Yeah. Oh, here's what I will say. I was originally thinking about this in terms of an argument for this film, but instead I'm going to repurpose it and say, if you have such a problem with the historical inaccuracy of this film, if that's the only thing stopping you from really digging into this film, consider that this is a story being told by this old dude around a fire to a bunch of kids. Consider that he might be embellishing some facts. Yeah. You know? That's all I'll say about that. If that makes it easier for you, I hope it does. If that's really, really that tough for you, check that out, because I think that might change your opinion of how you look at and frame the film for yourself. Bit of a cop-out, but, it might help somebody.
Well,
Aaron, what would you say to recommend this film?
I would say, do you want to know what existed 10,000 BC? Because if you do, watch this movie.
Yeah.
Because it is historically accurate.
What would you give as a critical score?
Oh, I would give this 40 mumbling guys who live in a hole out of... no, let me do old mother. I would give this 10 old mothers out of 10 old mothers.
Nice. I would give it 5 woolly mammoths out of 10 woolly mammoths.
Okay. That's
because I found some stuff to like, and I feel like I got some enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, full disclosure, I don't think I was in the right frame of mind for this. I feel like I would have enjoyed this better if I'd have teed it up by watching some trailers and maybe unpacking it a bit first, because when I got the historical inaccuracies and the geography stuff, it hits you hard and fast. And if you're not ready for it, it's going to take you out of the film. So you got to go into it with the right mindset, and you have to be kind of open-minded about what Roland Emmerich is trying to say here. Yeah.
Also, watch it alone for the blind guy in the floor scene. It's worth it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Watch it for that dude.
Yeah.
That dude who just had to live in a hole.
Yeah, that guy's
he's probably still in that hole today.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know what the Atlantean lifespan is. Yeah. We need like a prequel of his character. Guy before he goes blind.
Oh, I'd be so into that.
Escaping Atlantis.
I'm pretty sure it's called Aquaman.
I got really excited at this when I saw the Egypt stuff. I got kind of excited because I was like, "Ooh, is he setting up like a really low key Stargate prequel?" But no, I don't think so. Yeah. But I feel like that was a missed opportunity because that would have been mind blasting. Well, I guess I mean that's 10,000 BC. It's, in my opinion, it's not the most engaging film I've ever watched, but certainly not 8%. Holy smokes, that's crazy. So I encourage you to check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out. All right, well, this has been In Defense of a Movie Podcast. And thanks so much for checking out today's episode. Feel free to check out our socials. Feel free to shoot us an email. And we're slowly approaching the end of season 1, and we got some cool stuff planned for season 2, and some neat stuff that we're gonna roll out in the coming weeks here. So thanks so much for checking out the podcast, you guys. We really, really appreciate it. And we just want to say hi to all our listeners around the world. And we're so glad you joined us today.
Oh, we have an Instagram.
Oh yeah, we do. Instagram's up and running.
In Defense of. Please search us. Please add us. And if you talk to me, I promise to talk back to you.
It's true. I did it. Okay, guys. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.